Let me say something most people don't want to hear. If you're waiting for permission to survive, you're already too late. Because history doesn't collapse politely. It doesn't send emails. It doesn't give warnings with countdown timers. It doesn't say, hey, in 3 weeks things are going to get bad, so maybe stock up. No, history snaps. One day the lights work, the next day they don't. One day shelves are full. The next day people are fighting over water bottles. And every single time this happens, people all say the same sentence. I never thought it would happen here. Rome said that. Germany said that. Venezuela said that. Ukraine said that. And every modern country thinks it's immune, until it isn't. Now here's the uncomfortable truth. You would think the government would love preppers. Think about it logically. Prepared citizens don't panic. Prepared citizens don't overwhelm emergency lines. Prepared citizens don't loot stores. Prepared citizens don't beg for help. Prepared citizens reduce chaos. So why does prepping feel discouraged? Why is it mocked? Why is it regulated? Why is it quietly made harder every year? Because prepping doesn't just create prepared people, it creates independent people. And independence is the one thing centralized systems cannot tolerate for long. Not because it's evil, not because it's violent, but because control only works on people who need the system. If you don't need it, it loses power. And that is the core of everything we're about to talk about. Today we're breaking down prepping items the government does not want you to have. Not conspiracy nonsense, history-backed reality. Because every time society shakes, the same pattern repeats. First, fear. Then, confusion. Then, regulation. And the items that keep you alive suddenly become a problem. Guns, the first thing they try to control. Let's not dance around this. In every major collapse scenario, the armed population survives better. That's not ideology, that's documentation. A firearm provides 3 survival pillars: defense, deterrence, food. When police response times stretch from minutes pushed to hours to non-existent, you're your own first responder. History proves this again and again. After Hurricane Katrina, armed neighborhoods survived. Unarmed ones were evacuated, or worse. During civil unrest, businesses protected by armed owners remained standing. Others burned. And that's why firearms are always the first target. Not criminals. Law-abiding citizens. Because criminals don't follow laws anyway. The truth nobody likes to admit is simple. An armed population is harder to control. That's why definitions constantly change. Yesterday it was a rifle. Today it's an assault-style weapon. Yesterday it was standard capacity. Today it's high capacity. Words shift. The goal does not. When fear rises, control tightens. Always. Gold. They've taken it before. People laugh when preppers talk about gold confiscation. Relax, that would never happen. Really, because it already did. In 1933, Americans were forced to turn in their gold. Not criminals, not the wealthy elite. Regular families. The government told citizens it was for stability. They paid a fixed price. Then immediately revalued gold higher, meaning people lost wealth overnight, and that ban lasted more than 40 years. 40. That means entire generations lived without the legal right to own gold. Why? Because gold removes dependence on fiat currency, and when currencies weaken, governments tighten control. Gold is freedom in metal form, and freedom during financial panic is not encouraged. Livestock. Food. You can't turn off. Let me ask you something. Why do cities panic faster than rural areas? Because cities don't produce food. They consume it. Now imagine what happens when trucks stop running. No deliveries, no resupply. Suddenly, chickens become powerful, rabbits become valuable, goats become survival machines, animals turn scraps into calories. They don't need supply chains, they don't need factories, they just need care, and that's exactly why livestock laws are strict. Noise, sanitation, permits, limits. Not because chickens are dangerous, because food independence is. A household that can feed itself cannot be pressured easily, and pressure is the primary tool during emergencies. Fuel. Mobility is power. Fuel doesn't just run engines, it runs options. With fuel you can leave. Without it you're trapped. That's why fuel storage is quietly discouraged. Container laws, transport rules, storage limits. Some of it makes sense, but notice the trend. Less fuel allowed, more regulation. Because when people can move freely during crises, they can't be controlled geographically, Mobility equals freedom, and freedom is inconvenient during chaos. Radios, communication without permission. Every disaster teaches the same lesson. Cell towers fail, internet dies, but radios keep talking. That's why ham radio operators are heroes after earthquakes, hurricanes, and blackouts. And yet, licenses, power limits, frequency control. Why regulate life-saving communication? Because decentralized networks can't be shut off easily. People sharing information independently is powerful, and power outside official channels makes systems nervous. Communication creates coordination. Coordination creates resistance to chaos. Seeds, the quietest form of control. If you want to control people long-term, you don't start with weapons. You start with food, and food begins with seeds. That's why traditional seed varieties are disappearing. Approved lists, patents, restrictions. A seed that reproduces freely breaks the cycle of dependency. That's dangerous to centralized agriculture. A prepper with a seed vault doesn't need permission to eat, and that's more powerful than people realize. Food stockpiles, not always yours. Here's where things get uncomfortable. During declared emergencies, governments can legally manage resources, including food. That doesn't mean it happens immediately, but when shortages hit, pressure changes everything. That's why experienced preppers don't advertise. They don't post photos, they don't brag. They hide in plain sight, decoy pantries, hidden storage, false walls. Because once people know you have food, you no longer truly own it. Water. Control the water. Control the people. You can survive weeks without food. You cannot survive days without water. And yet rainwater collection is restricted in many places. Why? Because water rights equal power. A household with independent water cannot be pressured the same way. That's why smart preppers diversify. Hidden storage, modular containers, alternative sources. If you control your water, you control your timeline. Power, the most dangerous resource. When the grid goes dark, power becomes leverage. Lights, refrigeration, communication. People with power stand out, and standing out is dangerous. That's why energy independence must be quiet. Silent generators, distributed batteries, camouflage. Never centralize what you cannot afford to lose. The escalation no one talks about. Here's the part most people miss. Restrictions don't come all at once. They come slowly. One law, one emergency, one temporary rule, always temporary, until it isn't. History proves this again and again. Temporary measures have a habit of becoming permanent, and once you need permission to survive, you are no longer free. The final warning. Let me be brutally honest with you. When the next major crisis hits, the system will not ask if you're ready. It will not care how good of a citizen you were. It will not pause so you can prepare. The clock will already be running, and the people who prepared early will look calm. The people who didn't will look shocked. Prepping isn't about fear. It's about refusing to be helpless. It's about protecting your family when no one else can. It's about staying human when systems break. And here's the most important thing. You don't need to do everything. You just need to start. Because the worst position to be in during a crisis is needing permission to survive. Our call to preparedness. If you're watching this right now, understand something. You are early. That's good. Because preparedness is built slowly, quietly, one decision at a time. And in the description below this video, I've included resources, guides, and tools to help you start preparing the right way. Not with panic, but with purpose. Check them, learn, build. Because when the lights go out, the prepared don't panic. They move, they adapt, they survive.